was Nanook, the Aeon of destruction, the inspiration Lygus used when creating Phainon? Listen to your heart.
Listen to your heart.
To answer the question, no. At least I don't think so. Not on the personal level a lot of people seem to think, which is that, like, something like Phainon's like a younger Nanook? Now, with that said, I don't exactly got the best shooting percentage right now when it comes to my claims regarding amphoreus, although I will say the funniest thing about this animation is the juxtaposition between what Phainon's doing right now on amphoreus and what we're doing right now on amphoreus. The problem with the statement, did Lygus use Nanook as inspiration for Phainon, is it operates under the false assumption that Lygus created anyone in amphoreus. He didn't. The Scepter did. Lygus just facilitated and supervised the process, refining when necessary, but even then, saying the Scepter did is a, pretty loosey-goosey statement itself, given the Scepter just ran simulations over and over before eventually a cycle arose with Phainon in it. Now, the Scepter still had to make the model, sure, so did it take Nanook as an inspiration for Phainon? Maybe? I mean, there's not a lot to go on other than, they both sort of look similar, and hell, even their scars are kind of the same, but, I mean, this shit wasn't a part of the plan. Him looking like this was a result of him not being in line with the simulation's expectations, and halting the cycles, and holding hundreds of millions of core flames, causing his vessel to wear thin. Now, what are the odds the core flame scars match Nanook's almost exactly? It's a damn good question, but, I mean, then you'd have to explain why the Scepter would allow all this to happen. Anyway, what's more, they both really like the destruction. Nanook obviously is quite literally the embodiment of the destruction, and Phainon is said to respond only to destructive stimuli, although this is worth pointing out, this is only after he completely lost his mind. So, I mean, both have a predilection for all things the destruction, but I mean, other than that, nada. Phainon's not even black! I mean, I suppose, Nanook, like Phainon, has a dark history, although Nanook's doesn't even seem, that uniquely dark. I mean, yeah, he grew up in a world marred by wars and violence, but, nigga, was he the only one in that living? In any case, sadly, I don't think there's anything to suggest Phainon wasn't just an ordinary electric signal in the world of amphoreus. But what if there was? Phainon's government name, what do I mean? Neikos 496. The name Neikos is Greek and it means strife, conflict, battle. Now, what are the odds a once ordinary electric signal in the amphoreus experiment bore a name that just so happened to be befitting of adjectives that could be used to describe the Aeon of destruction, Nanook? Well, to answer this, we actually have to look at Cyrene's government name, Philia 093, because Neikos and Philia are connected. How? To answer that, we have to go on a trip across the world. Welcome, my friends, to ancient Greece, a land where if you commit the crime of adultery, let's just say, the radish of consequences rarely arrives lubed. Meet my friend Empanadas. Empanadas was a Greek philosopher who believed in several profound and, very relevant to amphoreus ideas. Chief among them was the belief that the universe is eternally cyclical, endlessly churning through phases starting with creation and ending with destruction. Sound familiar? According to Empanadas, everything in the universe is composed of 4 fundamental elements: air, earth, fire, water. These elements do not act alone. They mix, separate, recombine in this eternal dance, and, what's the music affecting this dance? It's 2 opposing cosmic forces. Philia, or love, the force that brings elements together, and Neikos, or strife, the force that tears the elements apart. The push and pull between Philia and Neikos is the engine of existence. This graph illustrates what's going on pretty well. When love and strife are in balance, life can emerge, diverse, dynamic, ever-changing, but when strife, or Neikos, becomes dominant, division overwhelms all, and the universe dissolves into chaos. Does that name sound familiar to you?
Why not? Let wrath incinerate fate.
However, if love or Philia becomes too strong, the elements merge into one indistinct whole, a featureless unity where no individuality or life can exist. In this state, the universe becomes a perfect sphere, serene, but lifeless. In short, too much strife or Neikos, and the world is torn apart. Too much love or Philia, and it vanishes into uniformity. Why is this relevant to Phainon? Because in Empanada's cyclical model of the universe, Neikos is the cosmic force of destruction, constantly tearing apart the elements, and in Star Rail, Phainon bears that name while also being the most destructive force amphoreus has ever seen. So then, either the Scepter or Lygus, whoever named Phainon, knew well in advance that he'd become the embodiment of destruction later on in life, and as such came up with a similar name for him reminiscent of the universe's own cosmic force of destruction, Nanook, or they just got plain lucky with the naming. But given the name of his childhood friend Cyrene is Philia, and that name is inseparable with that of Neikos, this means it can't have been pure accidents because they're connected. But does this actually mean anything? I'm not sure. I'd imagine instead of giving them the name and then they embody its spirits, I'd bet they embodied the spirits and he gave them the name. So essentially what I'm saying is, the Primum Mobile came first. Phainon's, for instance, is hatred, so the name Neikos makes sense, but he didn't realize this Primum Mobile until much later on in life, which should be after he was named. Cyrene's is blacked out, but her Primum Mobile is probably love or something love adjacent. I think this logic chain gains a bit more credence when you look at the government names for the rest of the Chrysos heirs. Cypher's Primum Mobile is desire, and as such her name is Oryx's, which means to desire or want. Castorus and Polyxia's Primum Mobile is peace, and as such their name is Epieikeia, meaning mercy. Anaxa's Primum Mobile is critique, and his name is schema, which is the root word for scheme. So, in conclusion, I mean, in the world of amphoreus, are Primum Mobiles given or earned? If Phainon was always going to be the embodiment of hate, then sure, there's an argument somewhere, that he could have been a copy of Nanook. But if Primum Mobiles are earned, then it's unlikely, unless free will in this world doesn't exist and everything is predetermined. But if that's the case, then the entire 3.0 story makes no sense, because why wouldn't Lygus just simply force these fucking lines of code to do what he wants? So while Phainon is no doubt a conceptual echo of Nanook, that's just saying is a conceptual echo of the destruction. I think their connection exists in the same way Cypher's connection with Aha exists. Cypher's path is that of the simulated elation, and Phainon's is that of destruction. Doesn't necessarily mean there's a connection with the Aeon.